All right. Well, yeah, excited to see everybody here. Usually what I do, like when I come on and I train, is it's really getting into like the structure, your presentation, arming you with what I learned. So I always start from like a humbly perspective, right? Like a lot of what I'm really good at today was just obviously the opportunities that God had me go through going up in my past education or work experience, which I didn't know at the time, but it was actually preparing me for what I do today. Right. So it's a benefit. And when I say that is some people, because of their past experiences, can be really good at real estate because of what they learned along the way. So usually when I start going into some of this stuff, I tell people I was trained how to sell from a Fortune 100 company. All right. It was real estate, it was new construction, but it was NVR Inc. It's like $8,000 a share. So much of that industry is spent on structure and presenting. And here's what I know. Okay. I want to use this as a little word of encouragement because I said it before. So if you've heard it, but we've got some new faces on here. When I was the manager of Ryan Homes, we hired real estate agents. Okay. And our real estate agents would make anywhere from $150,000 to $300,000 a year. It's a very, very good, well-structured paying job. All right. We would have about 20 to 30 at a time in the Orlando region. And I promise you guys, listen to what I'm about to say here. Okay. There would always be one, maybe two, that I could move anywhere. I could take from a one community. All I would have to do is switch that real estate agent with the other real estate agent in the other new construction home community, and it would be struggling. We would instantly have more sales. We would instantly be able to raise prices, and we would instantly be able to lower incentives, all only because the body and the spirit and the mind of the individual responsible for that community changed. All right. So never fall into the trap in real estate that says the market dictates your price for your home. Right. When I was selling real estate, I would never use that. I tweaked it a little bit. There is some truth to that. But the predominant factor of how a seller's home is going to sell and how much it's going to sell for, I hate to break it down to all the people out there, but it's the agent selling it. And I have proof of this after managing agents, selling real estate, going into communities, because what we're going to get in today is every single conversation you have, every word that comes out of your mouth, the way you communicate, the way you sit down with a buyer, the way you sit down with a seller, every single thing you say counts. And it's not just when you're trying to get the listing or get the buyer. It's when your buyers, oh, I don't want to offer. I don't want to come up and match that offer. Or the seller's got a low offer. It's been on the market for 6 months. And the easiest thing you say is, oh, yeah, it's a low offer. And you really got to ask yourself, like, do you know the market well enough to give the right advice to a seller on when they should come off their price? And if you know it that well, there's that confidence being portrayed and being conveyed, because when we're selling people, understand this. If it comes from the goodness of our heart, right? We don't sell for commissions. We do. That's how we get paid. But I think most people would agree, like if you're a good person and you're a good heart, we're not going to sell somebody for a commission when it's not in their best interest, right? So today, when I get into some of this stuff, it's going to be a little bit about sales, but I'm going to speak more generally about business and how I want your mindset thinking about your actual real estate business this year. Does that sound good? All right. When you think last year, when you were putting down stuff, I want you to think of this question. What can you implement to make your real estate business better? Right? So I want you guys to think of the first thing that comes to mind when you make your business plan next year. What are some of the things you're going to write down to make your real estate business better? And just anything that comes to mind. There are no wrong answers. Tell me what you guys got.
Daily lead calls.
Daily lead calls. Oh, I forgot. I want to write these down. Go ahead. Keep going. I'm listening. Everybody's got to give me one. So speak up.
Building
To
more
me,
vendor
more.
relations. Sorry, Amira.
Yeah, you're fine.
Sorry, guys. All right. So what was the last one?
Amira, you can go.
For me, I would say more social media content.
Okay. More social media. I got daily lead calls, right? And Dylan, did you say one?
Yeah, building more vendor relationships for like
Building more.
ongoing clients. Yeah.
Very working.
Love it.
Community,
Yeah.
more community events and stuff like that, participating.
More events. Okay.
Say more past client opportunities to meet together, like happy hours and different things like that.
Love it. More past client experiences. Anything else when you think about what can you implement to make your business better, your real estate business better? Okay. All right.
Just
so
generate
here's the thing. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Santiago.
I was saying generating more touch points, just making sure that you're better at like, at least for me, just having more contact.
Okay. All right. So we got a good list here. All right. So here's what I want to do here. All right. I want to play you guys a quick video. It's about 4 minutes. All right. Can you all promise me you won't veer off? Will you pay attention? It's a really cool video. Can I get your full focus on this for a second? All right. Because here's the thing. Normally what I do is I get right into like a sales and a buyer's presentation and I show you guys like secret tricks and I say like, oh man, here's the intent statement. This is the key to my success. This is how I've sold buyers so quickly. This is why I earn business and I don't lose it. And it's great and people get excited about it. And then 12 months later, raise your hand if you're doing an intent statement. Right? No, because the thing is with the stuff we're going to get into, it's got to be the mindset shift first, right? I can show you great things. And that's what I want to focus on today is just the mind shift of it. Here it comes.
Sad and clear that on several counts you've discussed, you don't know what you're talking about. I would like, for example, for you to express in clear terms how, say, Java in any of its incarnations addresses the ideas embodied in OpenDoc. And when you're finished with that, perhaps you could tell us what you personally have been doing for the last 7 years.
You can please some of the people some of the time, but one of the hardest things when you're trying to affect change is that people like this gentleman are right in some areas. I'm sure that there are some things OpenDoc does, probably even more that I'm not familiar with, that nothing else out there does. And I'm sure that you can make some demos, maybe a small commercial app that demonstrates those things. The hardest thing is how does that fit in to a cohesive, larger vision that's going to allow you to sell $8 billion, $10 billion of product a year. And one of the things I've always found is that you've got to start with the customer experience and work backwards to the technology. You can't start with the technology and try to figure out where you're going to try to sell it. And I've made this mistake probably more than anybody else in this room. And I've got the scar tissue to prove it. And I know that it's the case. And as we have tried to come up with a strategy and a vision for Apple, it started with what incredible benefits can we give to the customer? Where can we take the customer? Not starting with, let's sit down with the engineers and figure out what awesome technology we have, and then how are we going to market that? And I think that's the right path to take. I remember yes.
All right, everybody back with me? Let me know if y'all can hear me.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, so I want to ask y'all, did y'all catch the beginning of that? I think the very beginning, the guy starts off and he goes, Steve Jobs, yeah, you're a brilliant and very bright man. That's understandable. And then while this man is on stage, he got probably one of the biggest insults thrown at him one of the rudest insults you could expect to say. Now, when y'all saw that response, how do you think he handled it?
Great. He complimented him and was like, yeah, he gets it, but this is why that could be wrong.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing I noticed was he took time. Like he was quiet for a minute. You know, he sat there and it wasn't just some boilerplate response or just some kind of, you know, in the sports world, they call it kind of coach speak, you know, where it's just like really doesn't mean anything, but it's just answering a question. You could tell that was genuine because he sat there, processed the question, processed the insult, and decided not to like insult him back. You know what I mean? But really figured it out. That was one of the bigger things I noticed. He was like, just quiet for a sec.
There's a lot in there. I mean, I could preach on three or four different topics just on that little 2-minute segment that we watched. But I want to ask you guys something. There was so much he said in there about when we talk about how he makes his business better. What things did you hear? When him and his people sit down on how to make the business better, what did he say?
He focus on the customer. Want the client, customer, their needs matter, and creating an experience that's going to make life easier or, things easier for them.
Yeah. Right. Not trying to fit a product down their throat, trying to figure out what they need. What else did he say in there? This one's harder to catch. If anyone else caught anything, speak up. But there's something he said in there. How does this fit in our cohesive vision of trying to sell $10 billion of product? Right? So in business, when businesses get together, guys, and they're asked the same question that we were just asked, right? What's the number one thing first businesses have to consider when they're thinking about how to structure their business next year? It's right on the screen. Y'all with me?
How can you make money?
Profitability, quality. Because you can have great quality, but you can go broke. And if you're broke, who do these businesses have to answer to?
Shareholders.
Shareholders. Okay. Let me ask you guys a question. As a realtor, who do you have to answer to?
These clients.
What about your wife, your husband, your children? Right? Remember, when we're setting up our business, who's our shareholders? It's you, it's your time. This is where you're spending your time. Like profitability has to be at the forefront when you're thinking about my real estate business, right? How do I get better? How do I make more profit? How do I increase volume? Because if it's not, right, then it's robbing you and your family of your time, right? The customer, they talked about that, one of the biggest things. Someone hit on this earlier too. Vendor analysis, right? Accountability. They sit down with their engineers, right? They sit down with their team. They're making sure everybody's doing something. Now, in our business, this is where it gets tough because we don't have employees, the majority of us, right? Who's your salesperson, Brock?
What do you mean?
Who's your salesperson in your business?
Oh, me.
Yeah. Dylan, who's your marketing person? Yeah. Who's your guys' customer acquisition team? Who's your follow-up team? Who's building your systems? Right? You. Okay. So it's a lot, right? And then vendors, that's a big one because that's something we can talk about. That's title, that's mortgage, that's homeowners insurance. I want to give you guys a common example of something when I say vendor analysis, what I had to do last week. Okay. For the last year and a half, I've funneled homeowners insurance leads to one of my great vendors. He's awesome. I have a lot of great homeowners insurance reps, right? Do you know how many leads I've gotten back in return? 0. I love the guy. We go to church together. I love this kid. I'll support his business forever, but I had to reach out to him and say, brother, my wife owns a real estate team. They sell houses. We can buy houses. I do mortgages. I do refinancing, right? I do purchasing. At some point, can I ask, are you ever going to invest back in my business? Right? That's vendor analysis. right? Does that make sense to people? That's thinking like a business. You got to like, I'll invest in whoever, but I need to see it back in return from my business, or else is there another opportunity out there of someone who will invest more in my business? In the mortgage world, I have to provide a service. I have to look at my agents and I have to tell them, with me, you will make more money than you will with other mortgage servicers. Why? Because the more conversations I'm involved in with your buyers, the more contracts you're going to get, the higher sales price you're going to have. Every time I can have an interaction with your buyer is a better insight for you to get to a deal quicker and faster. And I have the track record to prove it. That's the service I can provide. So what am I trying to do? I'm trying to make their more money. I'm trying to invest in their business. Okay. Now let's reflect on what we just did when we said, hey, how do we make our business better? I'm going to read back to the post. More social media, daily lead calls, building vendor relationships, more networking events, more past client experiences, generating more touch points. All of that is fantastic stuff. But did we start with an activity or did we start with our customer experience? Is that making sense? Do you see the difference when where businesses start? Profitability, customer service. How can we make this better? Let's backtrack into our technology. Now, what can we assist? What we always do in our business plans is, what are the activities we can do? Because that's going to make my business better. Is that clicking for y'all a little bit? I want to make sure it's like we're starting from the bat. We should be starting from the result that we want, right? And then building our plan around that result. So that's the insight. I love that line in that video. Is you've got to start with the customer experience and work backwards. So to sum all this up, okay, in our business, what is the product?
Homes.
I'm kind of tricking y'all a little bit on this one, right? I want y'all to really critical dive with me. In your real estate business, what is your product you're offering?
Us, we are the product.
Someone said it. I just so you know, I did that on purpose to fool people, right? But okay, this is so key. This is so key. The product is the product. The coolest part about real estate, right, is you have the same product you have as somebody else down the street. Like, think about this. When I was in new construction, I had to compete against communities with built-in pools and slides and better upgrades. And I had to go up against companies that just had offered better incentives and better closing costs. And we were right next to each other. And at the end of the day, we had to build around, like, we're all 40-foot block homes. Like, what's the big difference? But in this industry, right, the product's the product. You tomorrow can sell a $17 million house, right? But the product, it's really a service. But I felt like this would be ingrained better if I said product, because you're really a service provider, okay? But you are the product, right? So how do you make the product better in your business? That is one of the focuses that is going to change everything, every interaction you have with people, all right? So here's the way I looked at it, all right? There's 4 ways, my opinion. I created this. I was so psyched up yesterday. I was like, oh, I'm going ham on, well, this is going to be motivational. All right. There's 4 ways to build a real estate business. Okay. The grinder outworks everyone, wins through sheer activity, calls, open houses, etc., relentless follow-up, 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week, the grinder. I've been this many times in my life, right? Who comes to mind? Does anybody come to mind when you think of grinder? The one I thought of right off the bat was Dylan, because every time I'm at the office, he's at the office. He's working hard. He's working more hours than everybody else, right? I mean, so think about that. Second way, all right? A lot of people want to fit into this mold, okay? The attractor, naturally likable, networks everywhere, excels at social media, creates their own leads. Who do we know that's an attractor?
Justin.
And you can be multiple of these. The whole point is, of course, to be a little bit of everything, right?
I feel like Garrett, you've got this too.
Yeah. Kat built her business by attracting Kristen McIntosh. Every one of her clients is just people in her circle of life, right? Attracting's great because you can create your own leads. All right, the advisor. Okay. This is where I think the self-improvement of the product needs to focus on. Okay. I'll get to this in a second, but most trusted by their clients. Highest conversion, meaning that they don't need as many leads as everybody else because their communication and the things that they say and the way people interact with them, their conversion rate is higher. They sell at a higher sales price. This is the little secret to our business that I teach people, you know, when we're doing stuff like this. 75% of your clients are buying too little of a house and too inexpensive of a house based on what they should be buying. But along the way, they never had an advisor who actually would sit down with them and actually would get that mortgage payment up and would have helped them see the light of why they should invest more money in real estate, right? The advisor role is faster to contract. Buyers go to contract quickly. They're spending less time. Who knows what VPG stands for? It's a sales term. Highest VPG, volume per guest. Okay. They meet somebody, the conversations they're in, every conversation they have, if you graded it on how much commission they make, every interaction, super high, right? Got that back from the timeshare world. You were graded on your VPG. Every conversation you had, you were at a $3,000 VPG. Some people had a $17,000 VPG, right? So that means that if they meet somebody, they're going to make $17,000 in revenue. Make sense? And then the last would be the strategist. Finds a niche. Strategic planning. You guys can see the stuff below it too, right? Yeah. Okay. Multiple profit centers, right? Leverages the industry, runs multiple real estate businesses, right? Gets into vendor acquisition, owning title companies. You know, think about like this, guys. Why do I do mortgages right now? Okay. Part of my strategy in business was looking at our business and saying, okay, we have the real estate portion, right? The reason I'm in mortgages is because just looking at it, it just made sense to step away and say, hey, Kat, run the business. Let me step into the mortgage industry, right? Let me start creating that because it coincides perfectly with what we're already doing. And how do you guys think it affected profitability? Our real estate business hasn't taken a hit. It's still growing, right? And now we have a whole new level of profitability coming into the company. So that's more the strategic role. So here's what I'll get to, and I know we're running just on time. 90% of the industry is going to be grinders and attractors. Okay. Now, want to be very clear on this. They can absolutely build huge businesses just staying in that lane. Okay. So never take into the consideration, like, and don't use this example as like, I'm saying like this person's bad or this way. All of this is good. All right. But think about McDonald's and Ruth Chris. Okay. Who gets more customers?
McDonald's.
Who's got the better product?
Chris.
Okay. What's the better business?
McDonald's.
Right. So that proves my point. Right. And I'm not saying like just staying in this lane means you're McDonald's. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that there's a lot of people who are in that lane who can create great businesses, but there's a lot of realtors that get stuck in those lanes. And without working on becoming an advisor, without working on the product, without increasing self, it's more hours. You can get burnt out really easily. You're taking buyers around for months. You have more leads, but your conversion's really low. So you're working harder for less money. The more volume you get doesn't always mean you're becoming more profitable because you don't have the right structure or strategy in place. Few truly excel. Most life settle. Okay. Most life settle. We trick ourselves into thinking we have a great business. There's a lot of real estate agents out there like that, right? They're doing fine. They're making enough money to live off of. They're meeting their goals, right? Okay. But they're missing out on opportunity. And this is the thing that I want to drill down for most agents out there who can't just get so many leads that they can settle for a 30% advisory role and get by and make a killer money. Most of the agents out there want to take advantage of those opportunities and convert, right? So that's where we get into this advisor and the more strategy role. The advisor's focused on quality product self, right? Better conversions, higher conversions, better positioning, higher margins, more profit, greater efficiency, better experience for the client, right? Both can be good experiences for clients. Clients love all of these type of agents, right? But the clients that work with a great advisor will usually spend more money, invest more, right? Refer more. When the market slows, their business remains strong. And I promise you, it can actually grow in the slower market, right? When I entered the real estate was after the boom, not during the boom. I did that on purpose, right? When I came to help join Cat from Ryan Homes, okay? And don't get me wrong, they still need to grind and they still need to attract. Grind and or attract. That doesn't stop, right? But it kind of goes hand in hand. All right. Your business gets better because you are better. Right? All right. So to conclude, most people put up facts about what the average real estate agent makes. I don't care about that, right? What do we want to? We want to be we want to be a business in this industry, right? You want to be no offense for people that just want to do this part-time, right? But for the people that actually want to grow, 4% of agents net 250. 4% of agents after expenses. All the agents you guys see on stages talking, hey, this is what I do. Not a good portion of them, guys, they aren't even netting 250. A good portion of them are making 80, 90, 100, 150 after expenses, right? They got a good business. Nothing wrong with that, right? But don't let the industry fool you into thinking like, what's a great business? I'm gonna pull like gloves off the table for a second. Since I came over to EXP, my name's been on nothing. Absolutely nothing. I'm in the background. All the sales I get, all the buys I get, all the conversions I get, they all went to Cat. When I came over to EXP, instantly hit icon that year, right? Then it started, okay, where can I go next? So thinking strategically, right? What can we do? Where can the business go? Fast forward a few years. We have a title company. We have mortgage. We're in growth mode. Right now, it's all about business to business. How can I better agents? How can I increase other people's business? Why? Because that's the smartest transition for our business to increase in profitability. All during this time frame, customer service and experience and the quality of that has never, ever dropped. It's always kept at the very top. So you don't think about one without thinking about the other. All right. So to end, here would be my question to y'all. And I'll open the floor in case you guys have some questions. But if you are the product right now, how much time are you investing in improving in it? In your calendar, in your yearly plan. I see Mike's off.
Not enough. I feel like you should be improving every day, whether that's reading, jumping into masterminds like this, iron sharpens iron. So I think that, there's always ways to get better. A podcast to listen to, a book to read, or an article to read, or a person to meet. So I think every day you should be learning and getting better.
Yeah. Yeah. Understandably, I wish I could drag y'all to all the EXP cons and to all the masterminds. And I know it's impossible. And I know with finances and travel time and kids, it's too hard, right? But the purpose is to be in a room and to get motivated and to be around people who are crushing it and to learn ideas. And, you can listen to 95% of what I say and disagree with 90 of it. But one of the things I learned is if you can find 5% of what somebody says, that 5% can increase your business. I learned this from, Kat and I are completely different people. She's a tractor this thing. I'm strategic operator, right? But I've probably learned more from the people that I would have never thought that I would even be attracted to just in hearing them. Like, for example, like GoGo. I've learned more nuggets from people that just aren't in my sphere just because I've listened to 3 or 4 or 5% of what I picked up on them. You can get golden nuggets at things like this, right? So I'm gonna wrap this up and just say, remember this: every single conversation, everything you say, everything you talk, every question a client talks to you about, you should be thinking, how can I improve? How can I get better at answering, not objection handling? How can I get more knowledge to answer this question the right way? Right? In real estate, thing that changed my career was understanding money and understanding mortgages and talking to people in my buyer's consultations about money and how much they earn and knowing about them and becoming their advisor. That is the secret sauce to increasing profitability in your company. So I'll end with that. I did want to offer this Fix It Fridays. Okay, this is what I'm going to start doing. I'm going to do once a month. I'm going to offer to anybody who wants it. Okay. Everything that I did, whether it be helping buyers, going on listing presentations, all of the secrets I have, if you really want to learn and start to like apply, like, hey, give me some structure on my sales presentation, right? Talk to me about how do I pre-qualify my buyers? How do I talk to my buyers about their income, right? Presentation skills in the sense of like sitting down, having the same thing, being able to adjust, vendor accountability. Jeremy, in the next 3 years, I want passive income, right? I want to own a piece of, like, I'm giving all these other businesses great. How do I get that in return, right? So that's the stuff that I'm going to focus on in these meetings. Okay. If it's something that interests you, I am going to ask for people to just personally reach out to me, because the one thing I will say is I got to make sure that you have the work ethic piece down first. It's got to be like you're full time. I'm serious about this. It can't be something like, hey, I think this will get me to that place. I need to know that it's someone that's like all in, and we're going to do about 2 hours once a month on Fridays, and we're going to get into all this stuff. So that's it, y'all. Happy to answer any questions or take some feedback, whatever you prefer.
Can you throw your number in the chat? I don't think I have it yet.
Y'all can all just look. I mean, it's all in the. Jess, can you do it? I can't see where to do that.
I got you.
Thank you.
What area code is 330?
That's still my Ohio number. I got a local number too, but
There you go.
Thanks,
I
Jess.
appreciate the presentation though.
Thank you.
You know,
Matt.
you wonder,
Oh my
like,
God, me.
you wake up and say, like, how can I create a better experience for this client or for this person, whether that's a showing or a closing experience or a presentation. So having that be the focus. When you were saying like the product is a product, like I was like, you can give them like a 2-for-1 special. You're getting a good product in the house, and you're also getting a good product in the agent, you know? So like, not everyone can offer a 2-for-1. So, you know, that'll be the focus. How can I make this experience for everyone better every day? From the smallest part of the transaction all the way to the end. So appreciate it.
Absolutely.